Now, when Cassian comes back from touring the camps, he can sense that something has fundamentally changed between the girls. Their relationship is now solid as a rock upon which the wave crashes. That was really, really nerdy. I'm sorry for that. And during their training session, my girl Gwen takes her sword and manages to slice the ribbon. And then we see Emery do it and then Nesta do it. So our three girls, they are officially Valkyrie. They start off this chain like the girls are now leveling up, yo. And after practice, Nestian slips off. He's kind of hush hush about why he's gone away. And we know he's keeping something from Nesta. And the next day, when they come to training, there is now this really hench obstacle course. And their training evolves into trying to complete this obstacle course, which is hard to do because every day when they come back, the course has changed. I think on their first go, it takes them like the entire day to get like halfway through. It's obscenely hard. And anytime they think they've cracked it, they come back and the course is different. But they do this again and again and again for 2 months solid. And they run at it in groups of three. So Emery, Nesta, and Gwen are doing it again and again together as like a little mini team with the others behind them. And when they do manage to finish it and complete it, Asriel tells them, well, ladies, you've just completed the Blood Right qualifier. You are just as strong and just as capable as our young Illyrian warriors. You passed the Valkyrie test of being able to cut the ribbon, so we have put forward the Illyrian test for you. You know, by passing this, you could, in theory, go and do the Blood Right now. You qualify, you're that good. You know, you hit the Illyrian measure of military physical fighting success. Despite passing the qualifier, Nesta still has one task she wants to complete, and she does. She goes all the way down the stairs and all the way back up. She has mastered the staircase at the House of Wind now. And as she gets to the top, she is all happy. She's completed what she set out to do, and Cassian's waited to take her with him to Starfall. While they're out there, Amren actually comes up to Nesta and talks to her for the first time since the whole baby incident. And she says she's really impressed because Nesta has brought the House of Wind to life. She's essentially manifested the house into living and being a sentient creature. Amren implies that because Nesta was lonely and she wanted a friend, she basically made the house into being a friend, which is really, really sad, but also an absolute slay. Now, when they're at Starfall, a red star flies through the sky. Andrew Sand takes this as a really bad omen. Feyre's 2 months away from giving birth. Cassian also lets Nesta know that even though, you know, the girls aren't taking part, that the Blood Right's only a couple of days away. This red symbol could signify a whole host of bad things. The next day, Nesta and Cassian meet with Eris, who lets them know that his father has gone to visit Brialyn. He left quite a while ago. While they're there, Nesta takes the opportunity to decline Eris's hand in marriage. And I do feel bad for Eris in this because he realizes and makes quite clear that he knows he's been used. And while he has, you know, no right to Nesta's hand or whatever, he does kind of question if any of them being nice to him at all is really worth it. Are they just using him to get what they want? He's put his neck out on the line. He's trying to do the right thing here. And he just has that little bit of like questioning everyone else's motives in doing what they're doing. Because if things are going to fall back on anybody, and Beren finds out that Eris has been helping the inner circle to undermine his father, Beren will undoubtedly do everything he can to kill Eris. So I feel bad for my boy. Once this conversation's over, Cassian and Nesta go for a walk along the Sidra, the river that he threw the book in back in the last book. And they start talking about mates and fae mates and even just this idea of soulmates full stop. And Nesta's like, yeah, it's just a word. It's like calling someone your husband or your wife doesn't mean anything. And Cassian takes real umbrage to this and he's like, you know why we're talking about this topic, Nesta. Admit that we're mates. And she refuses. And he actually says to her, and it's so bad, he's like, do you think I want to be shackled to you? Do you think I want us to be mates? Do you think I'd choose you? And that's so, so awful. And he regrets it the moment the words come out because you can't ever take them back. And as he goes to like apologize and explain, just like, you know that favor you owe me? Yeah, I'm calling it right in. Get the hell away from me. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to talk to you. Get away from me. There's a Fey bargain in place, so he can't not do it. And he literally has to head up to the House of Wind and stay there until Nesta either comes to him or it's been a full week because she doesn't want to be around him at all. And he's fuming, but also heartbroken because he's just made the biggest mistake ever. He's just told her he doesn't want to really. Which is so bad. My poor baby. And she's so upset. She goes to Emery's house, and obviously Emery's obviously upset because Nesta's upset, and Gwen leaves the library. You've got to remember, Gwen is a priestess. She's got a lot of stuff to work through, and so she doesn't leave the library. The House of Wind's directly above it, so technically it's not her leaving the library. But for this, for Nesta being so upset, Gwen comes all the way over to Windhaven in the Illyrian camps. She leaves the library for Nesta because her sister needs her. And the three of them, they all kind of couple together and talk about how awful men are, as we women often do. And when they wake up, a male scent fills the room and something cold gets pressed onto Nesta's face. And then it cuts out. All we know is that whoever it was, it's not a member of the inner circle because they would know who that was. Now, Cassian manages to find a bit of a loophole in Nesta's request of him. So he heads over to Windhaven to go and visit Emery, knowing that Nesta's probably there. But as he goes into the house, he's got Rhys and Asriel with him, and Rhys goes pale. And it's like, oh my God, none of the girls are here. And as they are looking around the house, they can smell this male scent and blood. Literally, they've broken the doors down. Cassian's going mental. And the guys realize that Gwen, Emery, and Nesta have been taken to go and participate in the blood rite. We then enter the fourth section of this book called Ataraxia, where Nesta wakes up in this woodland with a ton of unconscious young Illyrian warriors. She is literally in nothing but her nightie, and she can use no magic. And so rather than thinking about the fact that all these guys are going to start fighting each other, her immediate thought is, oh my goodness, I need to find Emery and Gwen and make sure they are okay. Now, while the rest of the men are asleep, Nesta notices that there is a knife embedded into one of the trees, and she knows that there aren't meant to be any weapons available during the blood rite. So Homegirl runs over, gets that knife for herself, and actually decides to steal some clothes from one of the unconscious guys because there is no way she is running around in nothing but her nightie for the next few days. Meanwhile, Cassian definitely 100% cannot come and get Nesta because the rules of the blood rite stipulate that anyone who goes and takes someone out of the blood rite, their life is forfeit and the person they took out. So if he goes and tries to take Nesta away, he will be killed and Nesta will be. Also, Asriel's like, have a bit of faith. They'll be okay. Which is so cute. Asriel also has to tell the guys that Eris has been taken by Brialyn. So Cassian and Asriel are going to have to go and save Eris on a little rescue mission. And Rhys can't go because he and Feyre have made the most stupid pact in all of people making promises to each other in all of bookdom. Because they have promised that when one dies, the other will die with them. Yes, they have made this stupid death pact. So if Feyre is to die in childbirth, the Night Court will be left with Literally no one, because if she dies and the baby dies, Reese will also die, and then everybody is screwed. It's it's so dumb. Meanwhile, over in the Blood Right, Nesta's bracelet starts to glow and it whispers to her that she needs to hurry as the guys around her start waking up. And one of them shoots an arrow at Nesta. There aren't meant to be any weapons. This guy, this random stranger she's never met before, demands that she gives over the weapons she's grabbed for herself. And instead, she's like, where the hell are my friends? Have you seen any other girls? And he says, oh, yeah, I've seen a female Illyrian, like a crippled one, and I've left her for the others to kill. So my homegirl Nesta beats this guy and runs over to the river where she finds that Emery has been left unconscious, but she's actually in the cold water. So she pulls her out and leaves her somewhere to dry off and wake up and realizes, oh my goodness, Gwen could also be in the same vulnerable position. So she hides Emery and's like, I'm gonna come back for you, babe, when you're awake. And she whispers to her bracelet, Gwen. And the bracelet starts going south, and the bracelet starts glowing, so she knows that that's the directions Gwen's in. And we discover that Nesta has basically made magical friend locating bracelets with her winter solstice wish. How cute is that? Emery does, however, wake up just as Nesta's about to head off, so the two of them start searching for Gwen. They soon spot a nightgown, but they don't spot Gwen. And as you can imagine, Gwen being surrounded by a load of aggressive men, this is kind of a recipe for disaster. This could be really, really, really triggering for Gwen. But they can't find her. They just find a group of 10 Illyrian men. And Bellius, he attacks Emery. We find out that he stole over to the location for the Blood Right days before and left weapons there. So he's basically cheated with the Blood Right. He does, however, notice he's got that funny look on his face that the Autumn Court soldiers did. So he is being mind controlled by Briallen. But then, out of nowhere, this wild animal appears and attacks Bellius. So Nesta grabs Emery and the two of them run away and they see Gwen hiding up in a goddamn tree. And we find out that Gwen, girl boss that she is, has lured that animal to the men. He was like, I'm not strong enough to fight 10 guys, but I've got a bigger brain than they do, and I'ma use this animal to wipe them all out in one go. We love that. Now, Gwen points out they're going to be lucky if they can get to the Pass of Enelaus, which is one of the routes up the mountain. It's going to be incredibly popular, but it is the easiest way to set yourself up for success in the Blood Right. All of the guys are going to be heading there, but the girls have to as well. And the problem is, there is always the potential on the pass that someone's going to cut the rope bridge and stop everyone behind them being able to cross over. So you want to be one of the very, very first people to get over there, just in case someone does cut the bridge. And they realize if they walk, they will definitely get there too late. So our girls prep for a run. Several hours they're going to be running. But luckily, they are super fit. They're in peak physical condition. So they get a run on, but they aren't the first ones to the bridge. And there ends up being like a real fight. Our girls do manage to get over, but it is like some Indiana Jones level shit. And in all the kerfuffle, Gwen gets shot, like with an actual arrow shot. The three of them get to the base of Ramiel. They're at the bottom of the mountain, but Gwen's like, it's really not looking good. She's been shot. She's got an arrow. Like, there's blood, there's bleeding. She is not in a good state. Now, because of this, Nesta and Emery, they want to just hide. Okay, they've made it to the base of the mountain. They're going to be fine. They could just stop at this point. And Gwen, who's obviously really going through it, tells them about what happened to her and Katrin, her twin. She talks about the attack. She talks about watching Katrin die and then being attacked again and again. And she tells them both in this moment of real vulnerability that in her eyes, it should have been her. She should have been the one to die. Katrin was so much brighter and funnier and better than her. And yeah, you see exactly where Gwen's mind has been as she's been working at the library. And Nesta shares the fact that pretty much since the war and seeing her father die, she's been so full of hate and anger and struggling with the magic inside her that she had been self-medicating with drink, knowing that the more drunk she was, the less chance there was of the magic taking over and her hurting anybody. And even though she knew that that was physically bad for her, she kind of felt like that's what she deserved, you know. If I've got to be a drunken bum that no one likes forever, that's fine. I'm keeping everyone safe. This is the punishment. I didn't manage to save my dad. I didn't manage to look after my family. I deserve to have no friends and be on my own. And she'd basically been sleeping her way around Paris with man after man, night after night, because in terms of bodily autonomy, there's some kind of reclamation there, but also she's like, I deserve to be a whore. I deserve to be as rotten and lowly, and at least prostitutes get paid kind of treatment of herself. And Emery shares the fact that her dad's incredibly abusive, and they're all sat there at the bottom of this mountain and all telling each other the things that they've overcome and how low they have been prior to meeting each other. And as they come to that realization of how much better they are for having each other in their lives and the difference they've all made to each other, they say, do you know what? Let's try. Why not? Like the us of a few months ago would have never thought we'd get this far and we'd be able to make it to the base of the mountain. But here we are because we've got each other. Let's see how far we can go. So they decide to climb as high as they can, get to the highest level of Illyrian they can together. Meanwhile, Cassian and Asriel have located Eris, but when they find him, they notice he's not under Queen Briallen's control because he's holding one of the weapons Nesta's made. However, Cassian hears Eris and turns around and he's got a blade to his ribs. Dun dun dun. But at that high point of tension, we cut back to Emery, Nesta, and Gwen, and they're struggling to get up the mountain because Gwen is injured, but they realize Bellius is chasing them with a group behind him. So Nesta's got Gwen on her back, like trying to piggyback her up the mountain. And when she realizes she's not capable of carrying Gwen any further, she passes like Gwen over to Emery and says, you two go on, I will fight them off, which Gwen is adamant is not happening. And Emery and Nesta are like, and then they knock her out. And I love the fact that she was injured, but she was still enough of a problem where they were like, we won't win this argument if she is conscious. She's that much of a pain. She's that persistent. I love it. But Nesta stays, and Gwen and Emery get to the top of Ramiel. They do manage to touch the stone, and they are free and they are safe. And they have done something that only the Bat Boys have done before. We get a sharp cut back to Cassian and Asriel and Eris, and we discover that the assumption made before that Eris was totally fine and not being mind controlled was false. Briallen's got him under a spell. We then see Nesta do this iconic drawing of a line in the ground in front of her. And she whips out her sword and she stands her ground. She's like, you will not pass. Bellius will not get to the top. And we find out that the sword she is wielding, Ataraxia, the name literally means inner peace. And I love that. It's so good. She's found inner peace. That's the real power that she's going to rely on to beat this man. Meanwhile, Cassian is captured by Koshi and given to Briallen. And he is now under the control of the crown. Briallen has mind control over Cassian. Now that Nesta knows that Gwen and Emery, that they're gone, they're safe, she lets Bellius know, well, he can't win now. You know, the girls got there first, you suck. And Bellius is like, oh no, I didn't want to win. I just wanted to kill you. And then he attacks Nesta. So they're fighting, and it's just hit after hit after hit. But when Nesta loses Ataraxia, it turns into a fist fight, and Bellius is like, do you think you've got any chance of beating me at fisticuffs? And she's like, yes, because my mate taught me well. And that's the first time we see Nesta call Cassian her mate. It's the first time she admits it. The two of them keep fighting until they are interrupted by Brialyn and Cassian. And Cassian begs Nesta to just kill him quickly because he's under Brialyn's spell. Turns out Brialyn is the one who has organized Nesta actually being brought into the blood right for real. And she offers to make an exchange. She wants the items of the Dread Trove Nesta has, so the mask and the harp, in exchange for Cassian's life. And Nesta doesn't respond. She doesn't do anything. She's like, And so Brialyn's like, Cassian, kill. But she doesn't specify who Cassian has to kill. So Cassian turns the dagger on himself. He's going to kill himself rather than kill Nesta. And when she realizes that's what he's doing, Nesta's power just explodes from her. And she legit dissolves Brialyn. I told you, it's goat-like behavior. Goat-like behavior from Nesta. And so all that's left is the crown itself. Nesta runs to Cassian. It's like, oh my God, we've just beaten Brialyn. Like, wow. But more, and Asriel arrive, and they say something's happened with Feyre. So they all rush to Rhysand and Feyre. Feyre is in labor, and the baby is in distress. She is losing a lot of blood. She's going to die. And if Feyre dies, the baby will die, and Rhys will die. So when they're in the room, Nesta can sense death in the air. Death is coming. And she's hit with this, like, I can't lose her. I can't lose my sister. I cannot let another member of my family die. And so Nesta, she calls all three elements of the trove to her. She puts on the mask, she puts on the crown, she holds the harp, and she plucks the 26th string. Time freezes. Time freezes. And Nesta asks, like, what can I do? How can I save her? I'll do anything. What can I do? And she realizes what she has to offer is the magic she took from the cauldron. And so she says, okay, I will pay that price. I will pay any price. I will give my magic back to the cauldron if it means that my sister right now and her baby, that they will live and they will be safe. And the cauldron itself accepts the bargain and time goes back to normal. And all of a sudden, everything's okay. Everyone's safe. And when they turn around, they see Nesta and she's wearing all her stuff. They're like, what did you do? And she's saved Feyre and the baby. Do I love the giving up of her power? No. But we're kind of ending happily ever after-ish. Nesta goes and sees Emery and Gwen and makes sure they're all okay. Girls made it to the top of the mountain. You know, they are like top tier Illyrians now. Valkyrie's FTW. We find out that Rhys and Feyre call their little baby boy Nix. And Nesta gives Cassian this really crummy biscuit. It's like, I hear I have to give you food to accept the mate bond. Here is a biscuit. Feyre made Rhys soup. And Nesta's like, here's a crummy biscuit I have in my pocket. But we get Nesta accepting that she and Cassian are meant to be together, and she admits that as she was giving up her power, she used the magic she had to basically change her anatomy and Feyre's anatomy. So they are going to be fine having Illyrian babies. So if Feyre wants to have any more children with Rhys, she can. And if Nesta wants to have children with Cassian, she can. And Cassian realizes, oh my God, she wants to have a family with me. She really, really does want to be with me. And they plan to have their own mating ceremony, which is going to be so cute. The book starts wrapping up with Cassian going and speaking to Eris, and we find out that Eris's father has subsequently tortured him, which is delightful. And Cassian's seen a different side to Eris in this book than, you know, what he knows prior and what he has found out from Mor. And when Cassian brings up Mor and says, well, you know, Eris, don't really trust you because of what happened with Mor, Eris is like, well, I don't think your friend, the Morrigan, has been very honest with you. about what happened between us and the marriage sitch back then, ask her for the truth. And we're just like, ooh, little bit of a cliffhanger there. Maybe Eris isn't a bad guy. I'm so adamant that he's not. I really like Eris. I feel bad for him. And the book wraps up with Cassian and Nesta being given the House of Wind. Obviously, Rhys and Feyre live in the Riverside house. Elaine's kind of based herself in the townhouse, and Nesta and Cassian officially get the House of Wind. That's going to be their home forever and ever. And the sisters go and visit their father's grave together, and they take little baby Nix and show him to like the spirit of their father at his grave. It's the first time they've all kind of gone together, and it's that healing moment of new chapter, positive goings forward. And that's as far as we've got with ACOTAR today. That's it. That's it. ACOSF. That's the final one that's out right now. Although if you're watching this in the future, if there's a video under this that looks like a cover that looks like this, then the next one's out. But I love ACOSF. I really, really enjoyed it as a book. It's the first SJM book I got to pick up as a new release. I really came into the world just after Crescent City's first book, House of Earth and Blood, had come out. So this was my first SJM release. This is the first actual SJM hardback I bought. I guess it has a special place in my heart for that as well. It's the first one I had to actually wait to get my hands on because all of Throne of Glass had been finished when I started on that, and ACOTAR was a box set of 4, and then I got to go and buy Silver Flames as it came out. I understand why some people don't like it, and I understand why some people don't like Nesta, but I love it. I love her as a new focus, like main character, and a lot of the larger elements at play brought up in Silver Flames lay the groundwork for what is to come with the Massiverse. So, thank you so much for watching. If you've liked the video, please give it a like. Comment what you thought. Are you a Nesta stan like me, or are you a Nesta hater? That's fine. We can't all be right. If you're finding this series useful, please share it with other people you think would like recaps prior to reading new Sarah J Maas releases. And if you aren't already, please subscribe to my channel. I could really do with some more followers. We're at the point now where I think you can really appreciate how many hours have gone into this series. So please subscribe to the channel, guys. And I will see you all later as we start on our final SJM series today, Crescent City. Exciting times. Hope you've enjoyed. I will see you next time as we discuss A House of Earth and Blood. I will see you later, alligators. Bye for now.